Hi and welcome to The Practice Gap, the podcast for closing the gap between the practice you have and the one that you want. I'm Elisabeth, a chiropractor, a business owner, coach and entrepreneur on a mission to help you move from frustration and overwhelm to clarity, focus and joy in practice. 3, 2, 1, yeah. Hi Atle and welcome back to the studio.
Well, again, thanks for having me.
I know that you have worked with a lot of young chiropractors in your practice. You've had tuners, as we call them in Norwegian.
Interns. Yeah.
Interns. Do you see any patterns early on who makes on those who goes on to become great chiropractors and those who just practice chiropractic?
Yeah. No. We live in a society that has decided that grades, that determines whether you're good or mediocre or poor at something. And that doesn't seem to be the case. I've had new ones that have come to my practice as valedictorians from the college they studied at. And they might even be brilliant adjusters, but with no communication skills. And they just don't make it in practice. And I've had others that barely made it, you know. They were almost kicked out from chiropractic college due to poor academic performance. And they've turned out to become brilliant chiropractors. And they have all the communication skills they need. They work hard after graduating to become as good as they can. No one is grading them anymore, and I think actually that makes it easier for some of those to work when they don't have to perform and show it with a grade, but they just genuinely want to improve and become as good as they can. Grades tell you very, very little, and it's more about personality, I think, actually, than academics, way more.
Do you have any suggestions for all the clinic owners out there? If I'm going to hire a new chiropractor, what should I ask? Or what should I look for? What should I ask them to try and pick the ones who are best for me and my clinic?
I've had a few that have come to me because they've heard about me and they know I am a teacher of chiropractic techniques, and they'd like to pick up as much as they can when it comes to becoming as good of an adjuster as possible, where they know I can help them to do that. But then also I have had quite a few, and they try and copy me. You know, they want to do what I do and just become like some kind of copycat. That doesn't work. And I've had several that I've said, you know, forget about that. Forget about trying to do it exactly how I do it. You pick up what makes sense to you and what you can feel, you feel you can master. But you need to be you. You know, you need to do it your way. And I've had a lot of these young ones that finally go, oh, that was so good to hear. Yeah. And they become much better chiropractors once they are allowed to be who they really are. And we don't need to push them, and we don't need to pull them. The only thing we need to do is to observe and make sure they don't end up in the ditch. You know? So yeah, we have to pull some threads and kind of get them up on the road again and stuff. But to hang over them and demand that you do it exactly how I do it, and that's the only way, and no. Plus, I also enjoy when I get new chiropractors in, I always learn something myself, and they learned some new stuff, you know. Heck, I graduated over 30 years ago, and then I can incorporate that into my world. So it's a reciprocating thing. You give some to these young ones, but they be open and let them give something back. And if they feel, you give them a little bit of elbow room and trust. I think trust more than anything is what they need when they come out. And then it doesn't have to be perfect. And worst case, if you have to go in and fix a little bit afterwards, it's not dangerous stuff we're doing and we're dealing with. So if they use their common sense, do as good as they can, and they're given a little bit of trust and a little bit of guidance. Trust more than anything.
How about mindset? Have you seen commonalities between the mindset of the different people who are in your office?
I am probably becoming a little bit of a grumpy old man, or there is some
probably
there is some merit to what I'm just about to say. When we graduated 30 years plus, we seemed to enter the professional life with hunger. At least the school you and I went to. I mean, we exited college and we were so hungry to make this work, not just to show the world and show the patients, but actually to show ourselves that I can do this and I can do it really well. We now live in a world where they're not in the same way taught to make their own life, but they more or less expect that they come to a system that will take care of them, and that we kind of lay it out, the step-by-step procedure that they are going to do. I think the young professionals of today are more conform than we were, maybe. More the masters of conformity. You can tell them all kinds of stuff and they'll do it, and they'll do it good. I'm missing originality, and I'm missing a little bit more fire in the belly.
Say that I've been working for 2 years and I would want to get more fire. How can I find inspiration? Where should I start? Or is it too late?
No. I think you can find it through literature. Open your eyes and look around. The big thing in my life, I think, was something it started in 86. I was in the military, and we were sent up to the Norwegian mountains to help out handicapped people doing winter sports, cross-country skiing, and all kinds of, mainly blind people, but people with all kinds of handicaps. And seeing what these people that had a fraction of my possibilities when it came to living a free life and being able to do what they want. And a lot of these people being more gung-ho and happier about their lives than I was with all my possibilities. And seeing what you can do with just having an attitude of, I can do this. I tell people, and you know, you've been up there too lately, and you come back from an event like that as a better human being. Our own personal struggles, as we call them, they're not really personal struggles. Seeing what a handicapped person can actually do, that's one thing, it's impressive in itself. And that they can be super happy about what they can do, whereas I, who can, well, quantitatively at least, do way more, can feel sorry for myself here and there and stuff like that. I think maybe, even though I was always been someone that liked to get engaged, but to witness this gave me this thing that there's something larger than my brain and my limitations. You know, I can do much more. So for me, I think as a single event to do something like that, it woke me up.
Thank you. And if you have been practicing now for 31 years.
Oh, thank you. There goes, yeah.
Let's talk about that. No, if you were you today, with all the knowledge that you've gained the last 31 years, and you started from scratch, is there anything you would do differently?
No. I have patients that come in and they go like, well, now I'm my age, like 55, 60. Oh, if I were 18 with my life experience now, man, my life would have been great. And I'm like, no way. I would have been a coward. I wouldn't have dared to do all kinds of stuff because the consequences were too high. You don't have those limitations when you're young. They say that successful people, they load the cannon and then they fire and then they spend some time and they aim. Most people, they load their cannon, they spend the rest of their life aiming and they never fire. As a young person, I fired here and there, and I missed the target, and it blew up in my face, and I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah.
So if I can give one advice to someone who's new or been out for 2 years, don't take yourself too seriously. Don't be afraid of messing up. That's in the long run, it just makes you better. Be a little bit more gutsy.
That's wonderful advice. Do you have any other advice before we round out?
Yeah, some of the new ones that I've gotten into my clinic the last few years, it's almost like they have been taught that it's unethical to generate wealth. That they should be
money is bad and health
and then that they should
together.
be happy with a meager outcome, and it's you shouldn't excel financially because and they're all tied up on their ankles and on their wrists, and it's like they can't move because it's bad to be successful financially. And no, it's those two things should be allowed to go hand in hand.
Do you see a difference between countries? Because we went to school in the States, and then wealth is kind of, if you do it well, if you earn a lot of money, that then you must be great and excellent because you are making a lot of money. But in Norway or other countries, that may seem different. Do you see, you teach a lot of students around the world. Do you see a difference in the money mindset?
Yeah, you definitely do, and that was actually one of the first things that struck me when I came to the States. In Norway, you're not supposed to show off. You're supposed to go under the radar and be careful with this and that and everything. And in the States, they patted your back and said, "Hey, you made it, man. You're successful. You're doing so well. I'm so happy for you." And for me, that was such a liberating experience. We shouldn't be obnoxious and me first and blah blah blah. That's not what I'm saying. But if you do good work and generate a good practice and do well financially, I mean, you can be proud of yourself. And if you want to give to some kind of charity or whatever, that's fine. I mean, I'm all for that. I think it's wonderful. But yeah, I do think there's a cultural difference. Yeah. And us going to school in the States have more of that, call it more of a liberating way of being and looking at it. You're not so uptight. There's more uptightness in Europe.
I just remembered a story you told.
Oh boy. Another one.
You were in an intern, and we were still students, and we met at probably some party somewhere. And you tell a story about this wonderful guy you're working for. He's super successful. He's earning money, and he bought a new car. Do you remember this story?
Well, he bought a lot of
new cars. Well, anyway, he buys a new car. And in Norway, then the patient would sit in the waiting area. It's like, I paid for this car. However, if you've been in the States, when you sit in the waiting room, it's like you are, I'm super proud of my chiropractor. He's so good, or she's so good. She even managed to buy herself a new car. She must be great. Keep coming back to her.
No, exactly, and that's it's what kind of glasses you're viewing the world through. If you want to focus on the negative stuff, be my guest. I mean, it's not going to make you a happier person. Or you can actually applaud the fact that, wow, I go to a great chiropractor because he or she must be really successful. They must really know their stuff. Since they can buy a new car and whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree with you, and I can't remember that story in particular, but I understand that I could have said something like that. Yeah.
Wrapping up a little bit, do you have one last advice for younger chiropractors? Yeah,
become a little bit more thick-skinned. People are so afraid of sticking their head out. They are afraid of really having an opinion about something. And yeah, we live in somewhat of a hostile world. And you can be nailed on social media or wherever, and people are rude and insensitive. People are human beings. We shouldn't accept everything that comes out or the attacks that we hear on social media and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's more fun sticking your head out. It's some of the things that you get in return, and you feel it's unfair and it's uncomfortable and it hurts your feelings and your ego and everything. Get over it. Since you have come up with like these young ones, what do we teach the young ones? Practice. Be a little bit there and go out there. Have an opinion about something. And even if it's politically incorrect, I'm going mad about this political correctness that we live in a society. People get offended for nothing, and that's overkill. And it's not like we should be totally slaughtered by and accept that people call us all kinds of names and stuff. But we need to have a thicker skin than society talks about today. I mean, we shouldn't take ourselves or the world too seriously always.
That's a great advice. Thank you, Atle. I love that one. I'm so glad you have come to speak with us and share your knowledge with me and all the listeners.
Well, if this can help anyone, I mean, I'm happy to help.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.